The little girl's first word echoed across the bright city park on a warm spring afternoon, and for a brief second, every sound around them seemed to disappear. Children stopped laughing, birds paused in the nearby trees, and even the gentle breeze felt as if it had frozen in place. The young mother standing only a few steps away could hardly breathe. For nearly 6 years, doctors, therapists, and specialists had all reached the same heartbreaking conclusion. Her daughter had never spoken a single word. Yet now, standing in front of a quiet single father sitting alone on a wooden bench beneath the shade of a large oak tree, the little girl softly whispered one simple sentence that changed every life around her forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, compassion, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel, Single Dad Empire. Your support helps us bring more heartwarming stories to people around the world. The woman was Seraphina Vale, one of the youngest self-made billionaires in America. She had built an international technology empire before turning 40 and appeared on magazine covers as a fearless business leader whose decisions influenced global markets. Newspapers admired her confidence, television interviews praised her intelligence, and investors trusted every move she made. To the outside world, Seraphina possessed everything money could buy. Luxury homes overlooked peaceful coastlines, private aircraft carried her anywhere she wished, and influential people competed for a place in her circle. Yet every evening, after the cameras disappeared and the meetings ended, she returned home carrying a burden that no amount of wealth could remove. Her 6-year-old daughter, Eloan, had never spoken. Endless medical appointments filled their calendars, but hope grew smaller after every diagnosis. Seraphina eventually stopped believing that miracles happened in real life. That sunny Saturday morning, she reluctantly accepted the advice of Eloan's newest therapist, who encouraged more time outdoors in calm, natural environments instead of another week inside sterile hospital rooms. The city's botanical park offered colorful flowers, open green fields, sparkling ponds, and cheerful families enjoying the beautiful weather. Seraphina walked slowly beside her daughter, who quietly observed butterflies floating above the blossoms without showing much emotion. Bodyguards remained at a respectful distance while photographers stayed far away thanks to careful planning. For once, Seraphina wanted only to be a mother instead of a billionaire. Across the park sat a man wearing faded blue jeans, worn work boots, and a simple gray shirt. His appearance blended easily with everyone else enjoying the afternoon. Beside him rested a small backpack, a lunch container, and a weathered baseball glove. He watched children playing catch nearby with peaceful eyes that carried both kindness and old pain. His name was Ronan Mercer. Few people knew he had once served as one of the Navy SEALs entrusted with missions too dangerous to discuss. Years earlier, he had survived battlefields overseas only to return home and lose his wife during childbirth. Since then, Ronan dedicated every day to raising his young son alone while working honest jobs that barely paid enough to cover rent. He never spoke about medals hidden inside an old wooden box beneath his bed. His greatest achievement was not military service but becoming the father his son deserved. That afternoon, Ronan's son had joined a youth baseball practice on the other side of the park. While waiting patiently, Ronan noticed the small girl standing near a flower garden. Unlike other children, she neither laughed nor ran. She simply watched the butterflies with quiet curiosity. Something about the loneliness in her eyes reminded him of children he had once helped rescue during humanitarian missions overseas. Those children rarely trusted strangers, but they always responded to patience rather than pressure. Without approaching her, Ronan gently released a tiny paper windmill from his backpack. It was handmade using brightly colored paper folded together the previous evening with his son. A light breeze caught the spinning blades, sending reflections of red, blue, and yellow dancing through the sunlight. Eloan's eyes widened slightly. She took a cautious step closer, fascinated by the gentle movement. Ronan never asked questions. He never reached toward her. Instead, he quietly planted the windmill into the soft grass and returned to his seat, allowing curiosity to do what force never could. Seraphina observed everything carefully. Years of protecting her daughter had made her suspicious of every stranger. Yet something about the man's calm respect eased her concerns. There was no attempt to impress anyone, no hidden agenda, no expectation of gratitude. Only kindness. Several long minutes passed beneath the warm afternoon sun. Butterflies drifted lazily through blooming flowers while children laughed in the distance. Eloan slowly walked toward the spinning windmill, knelt beside it, and smiled for perhaps the first time in weeks. Then the impossible happened. She looked directly at Ronan. Her tiny lips trembled. A quiet voice emerged. "Thank you." The word was soft, fragile, almost carried away by the breeze, but Seraphina heard every syllable. Time stopped. Her heartbeat pounded so loudly she barely noticed herself falling to her knees. Tears streamed down her face before she even realized she was crying. Therapists had waited years for even a whisper. Specialists had promised only uncertainty. Yet one peaceful afternoon in a public park, surrounded by ordinary people, her daughter had spoken her very first word. Ronan looked surprised, but instead of celebrating or drawing attention to himself, he simply smiled with gentle warmth. He understood that the moment belonged to the little girl and her mother. Over the following weeks, Seraphina found herself returning to the park almost every afternoon. Each visit happened during bright daylight beneath clear skies. Eloan gradually became more comfortable around Ronan and his cheerful son. No expensive therapy equipment surrounded them. No cameras documented progress. They spent time feeding ducks, flying colorful kites, drawing pictures with sidewalk chalk, and planting small flowers together in the community garden. Every activity was simple, peaceful, and free from pressure. Something extraordinary unfolded. Eloan slowly began speaking more often. Not complete conversations. Not perfect sentences. Just tiny words filled with growing confidence. Each word became another brick rebuilding a future Seraphina had nearly abandoned. Curious about the man responsible for this transformation, Seraphina quietly asked around the neighborhood. She expected to discover an influential psychologist or renowned child specialist volunteering anonymously. Instead, she uncovered a different story. Ronan Mercer worked mornings repairing delivery trucks and evenings coaching children's baseball teams without charging families a single dollar. He volunteered at veteran centers every weekend, anonymously paid grocery bills for struggling parents whenever possible, and donated blood several times every year. His neighbors described him as the first person to help after storms and the last person to seek recognition. Only after speaking with an elderly veteran did Seraphina discover the truth hidden beneath his humble life. Ronan had once been a Navy SEAL awarded numerous commendations for extraordinary courage under impossible conditions. He had rescued civilians during dangerous operations, protected teammates at tremendous personal risk, and quietly declined media interviews after leaving military service. Instead of building a career from his reputation, he chose a simple life focused entirely on raising his son. Seraphina felt deeply humbled. She had spent years surrounded by powerful executives who constantly reminded everyone of their accomplishments. Yet the man who possessed genuine heroism never mentioned it once. One afternoon, heavy rain unexpectedly flooded several streets near the park. Panic spread as a school bus carrying children became trapped in rising water beneath a damaged bridge. Parents screamed helplessly while emergency crews struggled through traffic. Without hesitation, Ronan sprinted toward the flooded road. Years of elite training instantly returned. He secured ropes, coordinated frightened adults, entered waist-deep rushing water, and calmly guided every child to safety before professional rescuers fully arrived. Witnesses watched in disbelief as he risked everything without considering his own safety. Television cameras finally learned his identity. By evening, national news channels praised the mysterious former Navy SEAL whose bravery had saved dozens of children. Reporters rushed toward him expecting emotional interviews. Ronan quietly declined every microphone. He simply returned to the baseball field because his son still had practice. Watching the evening news from home, Seraphina finally understood what had helped Eloan find her voice. Children rarely respond to wealth. They respond to safety. Ronan never tried to fix Eloan. He simply created an environment where she no longer feared expressing herself. Several months later, Seraphina announced a new charitable foundation dedicated to supporting children with communication challenges and military families rebuilding civilian lives. She asked Ronan to serve as its advisor. He accepted only after insisting that every donated dollar reach families instead of expensive offices. The foundation soon transformed thousands of lives. Meanwhile, Eloan's vocabulary continued growing every single week. On the first day of spring the following year, the community gathered again beneath the same oak tree where everything had begun. Flowers bloomed across the park, children laughed beneath the warm sunshine, and colorful paper windmills decorated every pathway. Eloan stood confidently before everyone. She held Ronan's handmade windmill in one hand and her mother's hand in the other. With bright eyes and a fearless smile, she thanked every person who had believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. There was not a dry eye in the crowd. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Your support allows us to continue sharing stories that remind the world kindness still exists. Glowing Star special request: before you leave, please comment, "Kindness gives hope," if you believe one act of compassion can change someone's entire life. As the sun gently illuminated the peaceful park one final time, Seraphina realized that the greatest miracle in her daughter's life had never been wealth, influence, or world-famous doctors. It had been an ordinary single father carrying extraordinary courage, quiet humility, and a heart shaped by sacrifice. Sometimes the strongest heroes wear no uniform, seek no applause, and ask for nothing in return. They simply appear when hope seems lost, offering kindness so genuine that even a silent heart finally finds its voice. And that is the kind of miracle the world will never have enough of.